Hello and good morning. Today we're going to put out some information about holiday safety, and today we're going to be here with Commissioner Dan Williams. So thanks for taking the time to come help us.
Thanks, Renee.
And of course, Sheriff Mikesell is joining us as well. Yeah, good morning, good morning. So we just want to talk to you a little bit about getting ready to travel, the holidays, having people over, and just to be safe. The biggest thing is don't forget to change those batteries in your smoke alarms. So I know, sir, you're probably used to telling a lot of people about, getting ready to go out in the holidays, don't really want to advertise it, but what kind of safety messages do you have?
Yeah, I really appreciate it, Renee. And again, thanks, Jason, for allowing me to help you with this. So first and foremost, our weather conditions are unpredictable here. Our roads are a little different than in the Front Range. So if you've got relatives coming to see you for the holidays, tell them to take a little bit extra time, be well rested. And also, Jason will probably talk about it, but for folks that are going to leave for a period of days, they do have a program that keeps those places safe if you don't have neighbors to look at. And just be careful overall. And we'll talk about a few other things, but that's
absolutely
the first one.
And what the commissioner is referring to is the directed patrol. We have that information available on our website and also on our Facebook. But give us a call and we'll be happy to sign you up and get you situated before you head out for the holidays. And one of the big things is make sure you have a trusted neighbor. Check on that newspaper that gets delivered daily to your house. Sometimes we forget about it, and even though you've done all the necessary things to prepare, we forget about that paper that's laying out there in the yard. So, sir, what do you have to add?
Well, Renee, one of the biggest issues, and we see it this time of year, is porch pirates, right?
Oh,
That's
yes.
what everybody likes to call them. And you'll see this where they start stealing your packages from in front of your house. Mm-hmm. Make sure that they're not out in front where everybody can see them. Unfortunately, we're starting to see some of that. And I think right now, one of the bigger things too is to make sure that if you want to leave and you're headed to somewhere for vacation or through the holidays, we now have a program where we have a red tag that we put on your door that just lets you know that we've been to your house and we've checked it. So if you see footprints around your house and you don't see a red tag, contact us. If you see the red tag, that was more than likely us making sure that your house is secure and that nobody has been there to do any break-ins.
That's correct.
So, right now, though, we're experiencing some high winds. We've got some weather that are probably going to come in for the holidays. So make sure your tires are safe, that you have enough tread on them. Make sure that you have an emergency pack in your car in case you get stuck off the road. And you can find all that information on our Teller County website also.
Absolutely. And another thing is, people have those fake rocks in their yard that have the hideaway key for when your neighbors are coming in. Burglars know that too. They see that fake key and they're more than likely going to use it. So don't utilize that. And if you do have to, make sure you have it in a cluster with a bunch of other rocks. That way it kind of blends in. So yeah, you can never be too safe.
Yeah, the other thing I'd like to add, since Jason mentioned high winds, there's a false sense of security when it's wintertime like this, but we need to be careful with our fires. I think we've had some notable fires, one in Woodland Park with a short-term rental, a few out in unincorporated county where as soon as it gets up into the canopy, even if you have snow on the ground, it's a danger. So please be careful with fire, and I know we'll continue to put those warnings out as appropriate.
Absolutely. We try to put them out first thing in the morning so everybody knows not to burn. And you bring up a great point. One of the biggest things we see is electrical cord overload. You have that what is the holiday movie with the Griswolds, and he has all these cords on here.
Christmas Vacation.
That's right, Christmas Vacation. You just got to be safe. Just make sure that you're hooking everything up in the right way. And those timers that they have now to turn your lights on and off, they are great. I mean, you can just set it up at any time, and even when you're going out for the evening, just have it come on at the regular time, and people think someone's home there. So just be safe. And same thing with cooking. I hate it when you have to run and get the door or whatever. Just remember to make sure that somebody's in that kitchen when you have hot pots on the stove, and you never know when an accident's going to happen, especially if you have little ones reaching up there to grab something off the stove. So just always be safe.
One of the bigger things that happens this time of year too is ingestion of things that may be poisonous for children. So there is a hotline set up for that, for poison control. Mm-hmm. So make sure you have those phone numbers also. We'll try to put that on our website for all those types of emergency numbers that can help you during this time of year.
Sure.
And I know Renee's talking about cats that may get electrocuted because of the cords for Christmas. But talk to your local fire departments. They also have information on these things, and there should be on your refrigerator, if you can do it, put the emergency
poison
numbers
control
to different
sure.
things.
They have little magnets.
Yeah, because we have a lot of people that come from out of town too, and they may need to know how to get a hold of someone.
Exactly.
So, and we just want to make sure that your holidays are festive, just like Dan's shirt says, festive
Thank you.
for holidays. And let you know that we're all still working. We're still open 24 hours a day, and we're here to protect you. But we do want your assistance in making sure that you have a safe holiday.
Yeah, I would add one thing too, since we did bring up fireplace chimney safety. I recently got a call from a neighbor. There's about 3 or 4 businesses within Teller County that'll come out and look, obviously for a fee, but they'll come out and clean your fireplace. So if you're renting a home or it's been a few years before you put all that wood in there, you want to be careful so we don't lose a home. I think every year we usually lose 1 or 2 homes due to fireplace safety. So again, but you'll find those in the phone book.
And Dan, you bring up a really good point, because one of our largest starts to fires this time of year is the fact that people take the ashes out. And they believe that after a week or 2, they're safe to just go ahead and spread in their yard. Well, here's the thing that happens. Because of the way the ashes and the wood is within those ash buckets, that could still have active embers for up to months afterwards. So make sure that you mix it with water, and make sure that you put it in a safe area where there's no grass, and then you may want to bury it. But make sure that it is totally out. You know what, Renee? It would be good to talk about what happens to animals this time of year with poinsettias.
Absolutely. Did you know that there are a lot of things during the holidays that your pets are allergic or can get sick? I mean, poinsettias, they have the mistletoe, hollyberry, even pine needles. If those dogs and pets eat the pine needles, it can make them sick, and you might not even know. But I was going to add, when the commissioner was talking about the fireplace, throw in your wrapping paper when you're opening gifts and stuff, that can start a flash fire. So you really have to be very careful what you're throwing in there.
The other thing is, and I know we were talking about this before, we have an older population in Teller County, and we have folks in need in Teller County. We have some mental health alliance issues that we look at. So it's a good time of year to look at your neighbors too and help them out. Folks in need are always in need, but this time of the year when it gets cold, hypothermic, people out wandering. I know the sheriff's got a good program to prevent that as well. But I'd ask Teller County residents to watch out for your neighbors too. Do a good thing.
Well, and Dan, you bring up a really good point, because one of the issues this time of year is where there's a lot of stressors on families and on people. And what I would tell you too is, remember that you do have neighbors, and you do have great people in your communities, and just to be kind to one another. One of the biggest issues we run into this time of year because of the stressors is that people sometimes just aren't kind to each other. And what we'd really like to say is, hey, before you say something that may be negative, think about those things. It's better to give a kind word and a smile than it is to be mean and say something that you can't take back later on. So this time of year, it's a good thing to improve those relations with your neighbors and your friends and family members, and so that we have a nice, joyous occasion that we don't have to show up to because there's been something happening during a family event, or those stressors have taken over your family. So we will put some information on our page about hotlines.
Yes.
For mental health, because that's one of our biggest concerns this time of year also is the mental health side of things. So if you see somebody that's in need of help, please don't hesitate to contact us or some of those numbers on there that we'll put on the page so that you can help find some help for people.
And really most important is, because of COVID, we really haven't seen our family and spent time with them. And this is really the first time that we're able to do that again. And we just want everybody to have a great Christmas. We want them to have a safe holiday. And if you need something, reach out. Make sure you let your family members know, I'm okay. I'm doing well. And sometimes they still want to be left alone, but just check on them.
And something too is there's a lot of organizations that need help this year. There's some food kitchens within the county that need help with services. Sometimes this time of year is a good time for giving.
Right.
Giving your time to help others that may be in need.
Sure.
So please don't hesitate to get a hold of your local churches, your local nonprofit organizations to find out if they need some help during these types of seasons.
You bet. Let's restock those food pantries and get the food banks back up to where they need to be, because we do have a lot of people in the community that need help. So if you need to know, I'll post those as well and get that information out there, because they are taking donations.
The other thing is, Jason mentioned this as well, if you have relatives coming during the holidays, or you plan on traveling and we get hit by a weather event, severe snow, so same websites, including the county websites, we have a standard in terms of how we get to the roads. That usually is a point of contention. Commissioners get called, sheriff gets called on why certain roads aren't cleared. I would ask for your forbearance. We're still short about 8 snow plowers right now. We do have some part-time guys out helping. Biggest thing you could do in a big snow event is stay off the road. And I think the sheriff's office will say that many times if you're not emergency responder, and we have all personally witnessed as commissioners, people that don't get off the road when we're in the middle of trying to clear that road become part of a problem that really stresses our first responders out. So when those weather events come, trust that there's a plan. If you get snowbound, or to Jason's point, there are folks in need, we're going to get to you. Particularly if there's an emergency, but in general, stay off those roads and listen to the weather forecasts and the warnings that they put out.
Usually in this county, from my experience, you have about 3 days that it's really difficult to move around in something. But for the state, the county is able to get to a lot of the different places. How many miles of roadway do we have, Dan?
About 560, yeah. Most of them dirt.
Yep, so we've got a lot of roadways in this county that we just can't get to. And then also what happens is the wind blows a lot of these roads shut. So you're constantly trying to reopen main roadways. And I know from experience, we'll contact our county partners, which is Fred Clifford and the road department, and they'll immediately respond to assist us get through to some areas. But that doesn't mean they have enough people to get to everything, and it's hard, especially if we get a real strong snow event. So what I would tell people too is, don't expect to go buy groceries just before the event, because we see a lot of that. Everybody runs to the grocery stores, the shelves go bare because everybody's expecting them now. Well, try to pre-plan that so you don't have to leave your home to get milk or get groceries. You can freeze some of those things, and know that we may lose power. So have a secondary source of heat. Have that secondary source of water where you already have it in bottles. And just know that we'll get everything back working as soon as earthly possible. Nobody is taking time off to not get you back up with power, water, and roadways. But it takes time, and we're all in this together. So what I would ask is that we be patient with one another. We will get things done in an appropriate amount of time for you, but I will tell you, years ago we had a major snowstorm, and I had to hand walk hike oxygen bottles into people and different things. So keep extra medication, keep extra oxygen bottles, whatever you need to do those things. It saves me from having to hike, and I say that in joke, but on the other side of it, it's a lot of things first responders are having to do during these events that if we can pre-plan to not have those issues for a few days, it would sure help all of us.
Jason brings up a great point. For our older population, CPAP machines, oxygen machines, medication, those are all emergencies if you're that person, telehealth. And so what we look for and what we work together, and you mentioned the combined team, is when we lose our ability to communicate with the internet, when we have a high wind event that brings down electricity and power lines, when we have severe snow, when the cell phone towers go down, when all those happen at the same time, we've got an EOC, there's all levels of things we can do. I would just remind folks that we just recently had a 4-inch storm, and it caught a lot of people off guard. The CDOT couldn't get out there in time, county was going out, and I know my friend Commissioner Stone was letting us know that Big O Tire and every tire place in this county was trying to put winter tires on. Well, winter's already arrived, so that goes back to what Jason was saying, just being prepared. Now's the time to prepare. And then, as Jason said very eloquently, then go make sure your neighbors are prepared. Make sure your neighbors have enough wood, make sure they've got a water supply, that, you have phone numbers. Very too often we hear about Nixle, we hear about Everbridge, we hear about all these systems. But I think Jason and I both were here as kids, and this is still a Western value place. We care about our neighbors. And if you don't know your neighbors yet, you probably ought to get to know them before the weather event happens, because sooner or later, and I think, Jason, you've seen this too, you're going to need somebody. You're going to break down, you're going to need a tow, you're going to run out of something. And so just go ahead and put that hand of friendship out before the event.
Yeah. So Renee, I think, the winter is here. We are looking at these things, know that we already have plans in place for major weather events. I'm just glad, Dan, you could come in and have a discussion.
Yeah, thanks. I appreciate it. Thanks for the coffee.
Absolutely.
That's what we're good at, is coffee, right? Not the best coffee, but we are good at
It's okay.
having it here. So,
Well,
Renee,
great.
thank you.
Well, stay safe, and happy holidays, and Merry Christmas to you, Commissioner.
Yeah,
Kids that don't
you
see
do
ya.
too. Yeah,
You're
no,
always
you'll see
welcome
it.
to come have coffee with
Merry
us.
Christmas to everyone. Happy
And
holidays.
again, thank you so much, and we hope to see you soon. Have a Merry Christmas.